And Anthony, we of course were talking about it so much last night, and in terms of West Michigan weather, it wasn't so much, but definitely creating some slick conditions out there.
That's right. Yeah, I would say pretty much on a par with what we were talking about yesterday, kind of a light to moderate type of a storm by the standards of West Michigan, but by the standards of this late fall and early winter thus far, it was an event to deal with. Some areas off to the north did pick up more like 5-6 inches of snow. Some outlier 7 inches of snow reported from the National Weather Service. Now keep in mind, as I was mentioning yesterday, these temps started to warm in the overnight, and we got a little bit of rain on top of this, so a bit of compaction. Pretty unlikely you'd go out there and put a ruler in the ground and measure what the official tallies were at this point. But the ground is white, that is for certain, and we will have some melting though over the next several days, because as we've been talking about, these temperatures are not going to be particularly cold. However, if you're headed out this evening, yeah, I mean, lower 30s initially. We drop back into the upper 20s by 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, and a few flurries underneath this overcast that we've got. I'm afraid a lot of clouds are going to be sticking around on Thursday. There is some prospect that we could get a few breaks for sun, though, in certain locations as we go along. So it's not necessarily a guarantee that it's going to be overcast all day long, but the tendency, I think, is to kind of hedge towards more clouds than sun, certainly for Thursday. And then we look for another system. Still question marks with this thing as to how much of an impact, how much of a serious impact it will have on Friday. We'll have marginal temperatures around that freezing mark, but that's something to get to here momentarily. And overall, mild temperatures. Keep in mind, January 1st is going to be kicking in on Friday. That'll be New Year's Day, of course. And we have had, the first week of January shake out with, daytime highs in the single digits and teens many times before. That will not be the case this go round. Lower 30s off to the north, mid 30s down to the south. There is some colder air, though, off to our northwest in Wisconsin. Not terribly cold, though. I mean, we're talking about mid to upper 20s, even in Green Bay, La Crosse, Wisconsin. Some of that will begin to bleed over West Michigan in coming hours. So therefore, I've got it in the upper 20s by 9, 10, 11 o'clock tonight. Into Canada, this is where you look to see how much cold air and how severe that cold air is to have the potential to drop any of that southward. It is still not there, and I don't really think it's going to be there for the next 7 to 10 days. A lot of Pacific air influence in our pattern. That means you get this west to east kind of a influence across the continent, and because of that, we will be in the mid to upper 30s to around 40 degrees. It does look like this from the Climate Prediction Center, just updated within the past hour or so, and the bullseye for the greatest departures from average over the next 2 weeks to be right over the Great Lakes. Now, that is not to say that we can't have a system come through and produce, say, some ice or snow occasionally, because above average temperatures are still flirting with readings that at times can be cold enough to support that kind of precipitation. But what we had last night into the early part of today, that is shifting over to the east slowly but surely. There is a spiral in the atmosphere here over Mexico. If you look closely, you can notice it, and that will be moving off to the northeast between now, tomorrow, and on into Friday, and will be responsible for our next wave of moisture that could bring some consequential weather here, say by afternoon on Friday. Let's watch it shake out overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. I think mostly cloudy, the best way to describe it. And then this next round of moisture, it's going to be pretty copious in terms of its expanse and the intensity of some of these showers. And as they reach northward, they will run into an air mass just marginally cold enough. It is not real cold around this storm, interestingly enough, but with temperatures in the lower 30s on Friday afternoon, we will look out for a period of a wintry mix, some snow mixing in. The tendencies on the models are to attract this a little bit further south, so not sure that we're actually going to turn over to a plain rain at this point, and that would contribute to maybe a little bit better chance of getting, maybe an inch or two of snow, something like that, and some freezing rain or sleet included. Again, the details are a little bit murky on that, but do anticipate Friday afternoon and evening could be dicey on the roadways. Behind it, though, Annie, look at this. Mid to upper 30s, still got that 40-degree temp by Tuesday.
All right, Anthony, thanks. If you live in